All right, week 7, I am about done. So I'm just kind of updating what's happening here. Week 7 on my summer Get Lean project here. And so the update today is there's kind of quite a bit that's been going on. And so I'm going to talk about, because I think it's important to talk about everything. This stuff is like, it's not just about the pictures that we see them all over all the time, right? I lost like 10 pounds in 2 weeks and I'm down this many clothing sizes, or we see all of the quick 14-day, 7-day, 30-day challenges and all the quick results, and but really what we don't always get to see is the big picture, right? What's going on behind the scenes. As much as we like to see maybe the transformation happen, there's also the setbacks that happen along the way. That's kind of been my week this week, in terms of, making progress, but at the same time going through kind of the mind trap, where I noticed like around Wednesday and then yesterday, and then even into today, where I was feeling, or I was more just, I had some kind of feelings that were like down. I noticed my mood was down, my energy was down. Things were very different. I felt different. My body felt different. I felt like my strength has just been kind of like zapped, which is very odd. And then when I look at it, I'm kind of discovering more that there's feelings of frustration underneath this. So where this all kind of came from, when I was tracking it back, and this is important because, this is one of the things where I know from all of my past experiences how this has come up, but a lot of times it went really unrecognized. Like I didn't recognize what was behind it or underneath it all. And this was the stuff that would cause me to completely go off the rails and sabotage myself. Like I would just say, screw it, and eat everything that I want to eat and just completely like throw myself down the rabbit hole of frustration because of how I'm feeling, because of the thoughts that are going through my head, because of all this like playing out. And, what I noticed was that I just kind of was looking at myself in the mirror around like Wednesday. And I tried during the week not to really do that, because I really get stuck in this kind of, we can call it body dysmorphia or whatever we want to call it, but I can really obsess about what I see when I'm like looking at myself that way in the mirror and all that, and really start to judge myself. I start to criticize. I start to kind of, mentally beat myself up over what I see, because, I think we can be our worst critics, at the times, like, the things we see in ourselves that we don't like, we can't stand, that frustrate us. Most of the time, other people don't really see it, or they don't see it the way we do, right? So that's where I was, and I noticed that was starting to really have a negative effect on me, to where like that was the whole beginning of it. It was almost immediate. My energy went down. My mindset was just kind of drifting toward the negative thoughts and feelings, emotions. And I really noticed it by Thursday, so by yesterday. And, so this is like, it's being stuck in kind of, what we call a bound nature, where we get kind of caught up in thoughts, feelings, emotional states that don't really serve us. Now I say don't serve us not because it's like wrong to have any negative feelings. I don't think that at all. And I think, a lot of times we're a little too quick to want to push that away. If we feel something bad, within ourselves, quote unquote bad, sadness, anger, frustration, depression, right? Anxiety, worry, fear, any of these types of things, where we can be very quick to want to push it away because we don't like feeling it. So, while I don't want to be stuck in that stuff, I don't want to be obsessing over it and drowning in it, But at the same time, I come to realize that whenever this happens, it's bringing something or trying to bring something to my attention. There's something that I'm meant to get from it, something that I need to be aware of. And so, along with that, though, came like the comparison, right? I call it comparative Carl. It's like one of the bound nature rules I get, where I will start to, not so much that I just compare myself to other people who maybe look the way I want to look. But even worse is like I'll start to compare myself to where I was and where I think I should be, where I'm not right now. It's like that constant reminder going on where reminding me that, man, I am not where I want to be, or I didn't see the progress I want to see for this week. And therefore, I can start to really like travel down that spiral where now I get caught up with perfectionist Peter, I call, right? And that's that role that I can get into where if I'm not absolutely where I want to be or looking how I looked at my best years ago, then it's not good enough. And then I start going down the spiral of not good enough. And, and that's the stuff where, especially if we are trying to change our bodies, whether you are trying to lose weight, whether you struggle with nutrition, whether it's, your body image, whether it's chronic pain, nagging aches, pains, and injuries, when we start to spiral down that into those negative thoughts and we allow ourselves to get stuck there and we dwell there and we chase those down the rabbit hole, that's the stuff that's like, it's the undoing that happens right there. And it's kind of interesting to see because I think, wherever the struggles are, it's easy to kind of blame the diet or the workout, or I shouldn't do this exercise, or maybe I need to be doing this instead. And so, there's like a million kind of the shiny object syndrome where we're chasing like all these different things that we think we need to do. And it just gets chaotic. It gets overwhelming. And then, again, it throws us down the rabbit hole, and it's easy to start self-sabotaging from there. And instead of that, what I've come to know and see in myself and, when I'm working with clients now is that it really starts with the thoughts, the feelings, the beliefs, the expectations, and the perspective that we hold about ourselves. It starts there. And the more that I get into this with my, this Get Lean project that I'm on, aside of the results I'm looking to get, to change my body and get lean and all that, that stuff's great. And I definitely want all that. But what's even more important for me is what I'm learning about myself, because I find this left and right, that the more I learn about myself, the more I can start to recognize the patterns where I tend to get stuck, patterns where I self-sabotage, patterns where I hold myself back. And that's everything, because once we see that big picture for ourselves and we start to recognize it, then we can start to shift it. And then we find really that it's so much easier, and it's not about, needing some, the newest diet and workout and, and all of the things that we tend to chase in an effort to change our bodies and build confidence and, feel better about ourselves and lose weight and all this kind of stuff that we want. It really comes down to recognizing what it is that keeps us stuck and that stops us from achieving it. It's like driving a car, trying to drive a car, and you can press the gas pedal down to the floor. You can, grab the steering wheel and you can push as hard as you want, and you can rev the engine, as much as you want. But if you've got the other foot on the brake, it's not going to matter. So you're going to waste a lot of time and effort and spend a lot of energy, but not really get anywhere. So it's really just about, what I'm finding more and more, it's learning about me and where it is that I tend to fall in the old patterns, getting myself stuck, keeping myself in a place where I hold myself back. And, now recognizing that has been the big thing in allowing me to see, instead of all of the negative things and getting stuck in that spiral of self-sabotage, I can recognize what's happening, I can sit with it, I can learn from it, and then even more importantly, I can shift it. And so that is, where I'm at this week. And, I don't know that I've not made any progress. I know I have. I journal it all the time. it's just very, it's very interesting to see, though, the mind games that can come up and how I can trap myself in that by just seeing things or feeling a certain way, and I get stuck in the whole drama of it without even looking at the data. I haven't taken measurements. I haven't looked at the numbers. You know, I haven't seen any of that. And I did this last week where I was very quick to judge based off feeling and started to catch myself where I was being a little bit critical of myself and getting into that negative state. And then once I, you know, took measurements and everything and saw where I was at, I saw that I actually made some really good progress. But had I not done that and recognized and got myself out of the mindset of being stuck in the drama and looked at the data, that could have really just caused me to sabotage the whole thing, say forget it, and go off the deep end and just kind of fill that feeling up with food, because that was the old pattern that I had. So anyway, that's about it. Cheryl, how are you? Oh, and my mom joined in. How nice of you guys. Anyway, so that's all I've got for today. It's just more of a learning lesson, you know, and I think really that is the biggest thing. It's not just the result and looking at the destination, you know, and I know there's a lot of talk about, oh, focus on the journey, not the destination, all that crap. Like, we all talk about it and everything. But if we look at really the truth behind that, and I look at more like the journey as it's the learning. It's the learning about ourselves and who we become in the process of it. It's the most powerful thing that we can do, you know, and it'll keep us from chasing the shiny objects and thinking we need something else outside of ourselves and looking for more things to pile on our plate and to do, when really it doesn't matter what we try to do if we're not understanding and getting rid of the things that are keeping us stuck. That's the big thing, my takeaway from this week. So anyway, that's where I'm at. My whole measurements and everything will come tomorrow, but it's been 7 weeks of staying very consistent with this. And again, you know, other than dealing with the negative kind of, you know, comparative Carl and perfectionist Peter that goes on within me, I know that they're going to show up, but it's now just kind of, you know, the learning lesson from it. And that is the thing that will take me into week 8 and guide me right through it. So that's all I got for today, and hope you guys are doing good, and I wish you guys a wonderful weekend. Stay strong, stay healthy, and I will talk to you soon.